What is up, guys? We are finally here. It's the day of the election. I'm gonna pre-record this, so I'm saying this on the evening of November 2nd. I'm sitting in my bedroom, uh, or my studio, rather, recording my final presidential election prediction. Here it is, guys. So when you make fun of me for being wrong, this is the video. And first, I did recently tweet. Here we go. So I have a model, or a forecast rather, where I average polls based on how accurate they were in 2016 using Real Clear Politics' data, look at Target Smart Mail-in data, and factor in other models like Lead and Toss-Up, JHK Forecast, which I have pulled up here, and I didn't mention 538 Nate Silver's model. But I crunched the numbers, and this is the map I got. So Trump would actually win, according to my forecast, but I don't trust my forecast. So if Trump wins, I'll take credit for outsmarting myself. But either way, um, that's not my prediction. So, guys, I actually was scared that I was going to get a ton of dislikes in this video. I don't know why, but here we go. We're going to do the final prediction. So we're going to start out with our safe. I don't want to do that. With our safe Biden states. These are not really that. Again, they're not competitive. They will go to Biden by comfortable margins over 12%, and all these solid red states are safe Trump states. So, yeah. So this is going to be a interesting video compared to my last one, or my last prediction. I'm flipping quite a few states. So, yeah. So 103 for Donald Trump, 183 for Joe Biden. Starting out with, so let me close out. No, I got a notification. Thank you, Brody Wood. You followed me. Let's see. 111 followers. Thank you, guys. Be sure to follow that, by the way. So Brody Wood, you followed at the right time. You get a shout out. So, starting off, let's go to our likely states. New Mexico and Colorado for Joe Biden. I do not expect these to be too competitive. Based on the mail-in data we've seen, the Republicans are overperforming a little bit in New Mexico. The Democrats are overperforming a lot in Colorado. These states, I think Colorado will be called at poll closing. I think that Colorado will actually vote to the left of New Mexico, which is an opinion not shared by many, but New Mexico, I think, is more dominated by Latinos, and that is overall good news for the Democrats. But Joe Biden is underperforming Hillary Clinton's polling numbers with Hispanics, so I think he will underperform her in the state of New Mexico in terms of the Hispanic vote as a percentage. But due to higher turnout overall, he's still going to win the Hispanic vote. So due to higher turnout overall, he'll get more votes than Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, actually, fun fact, she only got 48% of the vote. Trump got 40% of the vote in New Mexico. But Gary Johnson took away a lot of votes from both of them. He got like 10 or 12% of the vote. So Biden's going to get like 53 or 54% of the vote. Trump's going to get 44% of the vote. And Biden's going to win by 8 to 10. And then Colorado, Biden's going to win by 11. Because of just how leftward it's trending. The Denver suburbs are really trending blue, and they're growing like crazy. So, yeah. Now, no Rust Belt states are likely at this point in time. Virginia, I do think will be likely. This is not really that competitive. I do think that Donald Trump is going to overperform polls a little bit due to the fact that I think that there are going to be some gun owners in these more suburban Nova areas that are going to switch from Clinton to Trump, but there's only a very small percentage of the electorate. We're talking 1 to 2%, and Biden's going to win it by 7 to 8%. So, very solid Biden victory. And lastly, our last likely state is Maine's second congressional district, at large vote, and Biden's going to win it by something like 8 to 10%. Hillary Clinton, she actually only won us by like 4% in 2016. She didn't campaign here. Really, she didn't think it was contested. It ended up being more competitive than she thought, which was a bad sign for her. So, yeah, anyways, though, we need to move on to more important states. Not that Maine isn't important. I love you, Maine, but you only have 2 electoral votes. So, yeah. Now, Alaska is another small one. That is 3 electoral votes that are going to go to the president. Now, I'm actually going to take a look at the polls overall in the state of Alaska. Let's look at Alaska. And by the way, for the record, national on November 2nd, Clinton was ahead by 1.3%. Let's see how much Biden is ahead by. I just went national. Okay, I got to do election polls, and I got to do president polls, and then I have to go to national. I don't want that. The reason that people don't like this website is because it's so laggy and so hard to use, but they actually are good at weighting their polls, which is surprising. But I'm kidding. I love you, RCP, but National Polls 2020. Hopefully it'll come up on RCP. If not, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll have to type in RCP, waste my time. But show me the graph. National general election Trump versus Biden. Just okay. Finally found it after way too much time. So I'm gonna have to edit that part out. But Donald J. Biden is currently losing to. Did I just say Donald J. Biden? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm trying, guys. But Donald J. Trump is losing to Joe Biden in the polls by 6.7%. Clinton was winning by 1.2% at this point in time. So, just for the record, to point that out. Now, Alaska will go to Donald Trump pretty comfortably. He'll probably win it by like 9-10%. A lot of libertarians and never Trumpers are going to switch to Biden because in 2016, Hillary Clinton was just so polarizing. But still, at this point in time, it's going to go to Donald Trump fairly easily. Texas, I said this every video, I get a lot of heat for this in the comment section. But the mail-in data from Target Smart looks very good for Republicans. If that comes close to holding up on election night, the Republicans or Trump will win it easily, and Cornyn's going to win his Senate race by an insane amount. But anyways, it's important that we remember that Beto O'Rourke had the time. People will say, "Oh my gosh, Beto came so close to flipping it, and we're 2 years later." You're right, but Beto O'Rourke had the time and money to visit every single county. And he was running against Ted Cruz, not Donald Trump. Ted Cruz is much more unpopular than Trump in the state of Texas is. And also, Joe Biden doesn't have time. Like, Beto O'Rourke had to run a statewide campaign. Joe Biden's running a national campaign, and Texas is not a must-win state for him. So that's why I think he's going to win it by something like 5. Trump's going to win it by something like 5 to 6%. And again, Lean Toss-Up did call me out on Twitter for saying, "Oh my gosh, you Trump supporter, you think Trump's going to win Texas by over 5%. Yes, I do. And I stand by that. It's just my final prediction, by the way. Now, by the way, Indiana is safe Republican. Just wanted to point that out. Because, someone told me out there, like, "Oh my gosh, you think Indiana's a toss-up?" And I was like, no, I don't. But Missouri, in the state of Missouri, in 2016, let's look at the Missouri polls in 538, because RCP doesn't weight the Missouri polls for whatever reason. It doesn't give you the nice little graph thingy. But general election, Trump's ahead by 8%. There was a point where I think there was a poll that put Biden ahead or something, and that was weird. Missouri, am I looking? Yeah. Here it is. Garrett Hart Research Group. They put Biden ahead of Trump in Missouri. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But Biden is probably losing Missouri by less than Hillary Clinton. She lost it by 19 in 2016. It's going to swing 10 points to the left, but still, or maybe 8 points to the left, but still, Joe Biden's going to lose it comfortably. Now, South Carolina. In this state, I do expect it to go to Donald Trump by around 7 to 10%. I actually have a bet with someone that he thinks that South Carolina is going to go to Trump by under 5%. So if that happens, I owe him $10. But if not, if it goes above 5%, I'll be the recipient of $10. So right now, though, I think that Donald Trump is going to win the state fairly easily. Again, the black vote will turn out for Joe Biden, as the polls reflect. They came out for him in the primary. They're going to again in the election, assuming something unforeseen happens. But even so, it's still a red state, and I see Trump actually improving a little bit on his 2016 numbers with the black vote based on the data we've seen so far. So Trump will win South Carolina by 7-8%. Now we're getting into our more exciting lean states. Now Nevada and Arizona, I do believe will lean to Joe Biden, so he's up to 229. Now I want to take a moment to acknowledge the 2016 Nevada polls, Trump versus Clinton. So Donald Trump was actually supposed to win, and on November 2nd, right now, he was ahead by 2%. He ended up losing it by 2.4%. So that is a basically quick math. That's a 4.2% swing to the left. Now let's compare the Nevada polls. Nevada, Trump versus Biden, and Biden's ahead by 3.6. That's still a lean margin. Trump is gaining a little bit in the polls, and which is why I'm less confident of a Biden victory than I was a few weeks ago. But still, the fact that in a state that the polls underestimate Democrats, that they're ahead, not within the margin of error, I think that unless some major overcorrecting happened, Joe Biden should be Nevada should be pretty locked up. Now, he has actually campaigned there. He's actually making sure that he's going to hold on to it, which I think is smart because, what can happen is he flips the Rust Belt and loses Nevada and New Hampshire. That would be a complete disaster. But what happens next, though, in my opinion, is it's kind of nonsensical. But anyways, Nevada will go to Joe Biden by around 4 to 4.5%. I originally was more 4.5 to 5% type of guy, if that's even a characteristic that you can have. But since the polls have narrowed up a little bit in the state of Nevada, I do think that it will go down. So, yeah. Now we're going to go to Nebraska's 2nd district. Oh, Arizona. I should talk about that. Arizona, Trump versus Clinton. See the polls there. So at this point in time on November 2nd, Trump was ahead by 4%. He ended up winning by 3.5. So the polls were pretty accurate in 2016 in Arizona. They underestimated Clinton by a little bit. They'll probably underestimate Biden by a little bit again. Let's see what they have to say. Repeal of healthcare. Okay. Arizona, Trump versus Biden. Biden is ahead by 0.5% now. This is really interesting because over on 538, in Real Clear Politics is kind of known for leaning to the right a little bit, but 538, Biden's ahead by much more, by 2% more, so they're clearly have different methods, but either way, Arizona to Joe Biden by either a tilt or lean margin, depends on whether you trust RCP more or 538. I trust 538, but RCP was more accurate in 2016, so since I'm going to get those 2016 comments, I'm going to say Arizona will go to Joe Biden. But we're talking, maybe 2.5 to 3%. So, yeah. Now, moving on to the state of Minnesota, or actually the whole Rust Belt's going to flip blue. And it's going to do so by a lean margin. Now, I could see Michigan being tilted, and I could see these two states being tilted based on the mail-in data we've seen, but I'm not going to go that far. But starting with the state of Minnesota, we have a lot to unpack here. Let's see. I've been flacking my gums for 12 minutes. So let's start over with the Minnesota 2016 polls. The average put, I think it showed me for a second. Clinton was ahead in the average by quick math, 6.4%. So 6.4%. Now let's compare that to 2020. What they have to say about the 2020 polls. Minnesota. Now, Biden is ahead by 4.3%. So, Biden is underperforming Clinton's 2016 numbers, but they've probably corrected their polls as they say. And every single poll except for Trafalgar, even Trafalgar came out and said Biden was up by 3. So, I think the lean margin is the characterization that everyone is sticking with. I've only seen 2 or 3 predictions out of the 20 I watch that have had Minnesota flipping, and I think it's not crazy. In fact, on the data that I wait, Minnesota is actually a pure toss-up leaning towards Trump. Trump's ahead by 0.1% there. But the midterm elections were very, very good for Democrats. Klobuchar won her Senate race by 20 points, and Tina Smith won her special Senate race. That was supposed to be a toss-up. She won it by 9%. So, yeah, now going over to the state of Wisconsin, the polls in 2016 here were astronomically wrong. And Trafalgar, I think, didn't poll the state, so we can't really talk about Trafalgar in this case, but let's talk about the state of Wisconsin in 2020 between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Biden's ahead by essentially the same margin as Hillary Clinton, a little more. So we're going to look at 538 to see what they disagree on. They're probably going to lean a little to the left, assuming that I'm not wrong. But yeah, Biden's up by 8.4. So the polls have corrected their methods. Trafalgar did come out and say recently, if it'll pull it up towards Trafalgar. Oh, no, that's 2016. Trafalgar did come out and say that Joe Biden was ahead by 1%. And by the way, I think that Rasmussen also put Trafalgar there. That's a Republican poll. Put Biden up by 3. That's pretty striking. So Wisconsin probably be a lean margin. We're talking 3 to 4% margin of victory for Joe Biden. So even my model that is designed to overestimate Donald Trump has him losing Wisconsin by 2%. Now Michigan, if you'd asked me a few months ago, UAP. Do you think that Michigan is going to be competitive? I would have said, no, Biden's going to win by 8%. That has since changed, and I think the state is very competitive based on the mail-in data we've seen. And I admit, I was ignorant. I just didn't see it coming. Again, the polls were much more favorable to Joe Biden back in July than they are now, but still, this state is not as competitive as you expect. And Hillary Clinton was collapsing. She was ahead by 12% in Michigan, even in the middle of October. That collapsed to a 3.6% lead on this state. It was a 5% lead. So 5% lead for Hillary Clinton. Let's compare that to to our polls present day from 4 years ago. Michigan, Trump versus Biden. Biden led by 4.8. So he's actually underperforming Clinton, but 538 does actually have him overperforming her considerably. So either way, I do think this will be a lean, whether looking at Real Clear Politics' data or 538. The Democrats, they flipped the governor's mansion there in 2018, recently, same electorate. And I do think that the electorate will vote to the right of 2018. I don't think Biden's going to win the popular vote by 9%. That would be a serious wave like 2008. I don't think we're going to see that. I think it'll be more like 2012, if that, for Joe Biden. But spoiler alert. So Michigan, I do think, will go to Biden by around 4%. He also had the auto bail, which he can campaign on. And in fact, the final states he's visiting are and I think he's actually in Ohio right now. Or no, he's in Pennsylvania right now. Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan. So, yeah. Now, Pennsylvania is another one that I really do think will end up probably going to Joe Biden. The mail-in data looks very good for the Democrats. Like, they're winning by 60% or like 500,000 votes. No, more than that. Let me check. I don't know why. This is completely random, but the college football theme song is stuck in my head, which is unfortunate. But why'd I bring that up? I say the most random things on these videos. But the state of Pennsylvania, we're going to look at the mail-in data from the state. Hello, Pennsylvania, are you there? I sound like a crazy person right now. I just realized that. But Pennsylvania, well, look at that. We're preparing for election day. The Democrats are leading the mail-in ballot return. It doesn't give me the number, whatever. But it's essentially a third of this vote, which is, according to my epic math skills, that's like over 1.6 or 1.5 million. So, no. Forget that. I was wrong. But either way, Biden's winning in Pennsylvania big. He's winning by, I think, maybe even 1 million votes, maybe more than that. I'm brain dead right now. But anyways, Biden wins Pennsylvania. He's formed there. I don't think his fracking comments are going to hurt him because he's literally said he's pro-keeping fracking. So, yeah, Pennsylvania will go to Joe Biden. I think it'll be the most solid of the Rust Belt states except for maybe Minnesota or Wisconsin. I just contradicted myself there. But it'll be the most solid for Joe Biden. He might win it by 5%. He might win it by a likely margin. But yeah. So, yeah. Now we're going to move over to the state of New Hampshire. Another lean Democratic state. Now, some colleges are closed, which is going to maybe halt Democratic voter registration drives or efforts. Why did I just do that? But either way, it's not going to really have a huge effect. This is a high turnout election. Over 92 million people have already voted. Millions more on election day, high turnout election, and I think 125 million people voted in 2016. No, it was more than that. It's like 130 million people voted in 2016. We're gonna smash that record. It's gonna get to like maybe 150 million, but whatever. Maybe even more than that. But either way, New Hampshire, it doesn't really have anything to do with New Hampshire. New Hampshire will go to Joe Biden by around 4%. Now, the polls in 2016 were spot on here, and in fact, at this point in time, Trump was ahead by 2% in New Hampshire, and I can prove it. I'll prove it. Trump versus Clinton. I do not cap. I do not lie. Trump was ahead by 2%. On November 2nd, no, he was ahead by 0%. That's helpful. But he was ahead by 2, and then Hillary Clinton came back and had a 0.3% lead. She ended up winning it by that, so they were very accurate in 2016. And now we're going to take a look at Pennsylvania, New Hampshire 2020. Trump versus Biden. I think Biden's ahead by 11%. Oh, well, it doesn't. Okay, so according to my amazing math skills, Joe Biden is ahead by 11%. According to Real Clear Politics, he's ahead by like 11.2, according to 538, which they're essentially the same thing. Yeah, he's ahead by 11.1. So either way, I think the polls will actually underestimate Trump significantly this time, but he'll lose it by a lean margin based on the data that I've seen. Now, for the lean Trump states, I'm just going to go ahead, fill out Ohio and Iowa and Georgia as lean Trump states. These are not really, I don't think that Biden should really go for any of these except maybe Ohio. But Georgia, I think, voter suppression, we're going to see a high amount of absentee ballots rejected by Brian Kemp, the Republican governor. And again, the polls in 2016, Georgia did actually underestimate Clinton by like 0.3% or something like that. But still, I get the polls of Biden ahead, but like I just don't see him winning due to voter suppression. I also think that Trump's going to do higher black turnout will help the Democrats nationwide, but Trump is going to outperform his 2016 numbers with the black electorate by a little bit. Now, he's obviously not going to come close to winning the vote, but he's going to, what do you get? He like 10% of the vote in 2016. He'll probably get like 12 to 15% of the vote in 2020, which is huge for him in a state like Georgia, which is very black in terms of the electorate. Now, in Iowa, this is a wacky state because in 2018, the Democrats won the generic ballot vote by 4%, but I see that flipping back to Trump. Well, actually, they're going to win the generic ballot vote because they're going to win their House races there, but Trump's going to win the generic, but Trump's going to win the state by around 4%. Now, the polls have actually fluctuated between him and Joe Biden, Iowa. I think Biden is currently losing. Yeah, he was actually ahead like a few days ago, but he was supposed to. Trump was he runs like ahead of the polls. So Trump, he ended up he was ahead in the polls by like 3%. He ended up winning by like 9%. So he runs ahead of the polls in Iowa. And I think we're going to see a similar thing again. The polls in Iowa have Trump ahead by 1%. He'll win by 5%. Mark my words. I don't think that Biden's going to win here. He hasn't really campaigned here. He went here like twice in October, but Iowa, not going to go to not going to go to Joe Biden, despite the speculation. And, I get that the JHK forecast has this as, they actually had Biden winning for a bit. Yeah, right here, they had Biden winning from October 8th to October 30th, so 3 weeks. But yeah, and I get that the mail-in data does look good for Democrats in Iowa, according to Target Smart, which is not great, but, we'll see what we can work with. The mail-in data is great for the Democrats, but not going to be enough to flip it. Ohio, as I mentioned, I think we're going to see maybe higher turnout overall from the whole country, but the black vote in like cities like Akron is going to trend away from the Democrats a little bit, toward Trump a little bit, and Ohio's going to stay red. It's just turning red overall. It's hard for me to see a path to victory for Biden here unless he switches a lot of Rust Belt voters, and he's going to win, I think, the white working class, as Obama did, but he's not going to be able to flip enough to turn the state back blue. So we've got our toss-up states left, and they're all going to go to Donald Trump. Now, this is the first time ever that I'm characterizing North Carolina as a red state. So we're going to try to whip through this. I've already talked for 22 minutes of useless nonsense that I'm probably going to get wrong. But Florida, my basic analysis. Yes, Biden is gaining with seniors, and actually polls have had him ahead here. But Trump needs to outperform his Miami-Dade numbers from 2016 by like 1%, and he basically wins the state. He's probably going to do that. He's going to outperform on his Hispanic numbers in 2016. In the state of Florida, he hasn't really gained. He has not lost. He's gaining with the black vote. He's gaining with the Hispanic vote, but he's losing with the seniors. So I think maybe he'll underperform his 2016 numbers in Florida by a little bit. Like he won it by 1% in 2016. He'll win it by like 0.2%. So by a couple thousand votes, but still, the state will go to the president. And in North Carolina, I do think that Joe Biden was the favorite to win here, and he still is the favorite according to like the betting markets. But I get that Roy Cooper and Cal Cunningham are going to help the down ballot effect, but I still do not see Joe Biden being able to really just pull it out here. Now, the black vote I do think is going to come out for him as they did in the primary, but Trump, as I mentioned 10,000 times before, is outperforming his 2016 numbers with the black vote. And according to Real Clear Politics, I think Biden might actually be behind in North Carolina. Let's see, North Carolina. Trump's ahead, which is a bad sign because Biden was up by like 5% back in July, which was a good month for him. He had a very good month of July, but since then, again, I trust the polls here. They were pretty accurate in 2016. They actually underestimated Trump a little bit. And let's see, on November 1st, he was only ahead by 0.2. He ended up outperforming that by like 3.5. So, I really was big on Biden winning the state, and he had a solid lead, and that's why I was still giving it to him. But at this point in time, I just don't think Roy Cooper's going to be enough to flip to give the state to Biden. But I do think that Cal Cunningham is going to win the Senate race, and I do think that Roy Cooper is going to cruise to re-election as governor. Maine 2nd District, here it is. Final projection of the morning, I guess, because I'm going to post this the following morning on election day, which is insane. But Maine's 2nd District, it's very white, very rural. Biden's going to outperform Hillary Clinton here for sure. She lost it by like 10% in 2016. He'll lose by like 2%, though. Either way, though, Trump wins the state, not the election. But this is my final projection. Trump is going to lose the election narrowly. He'll probably use the popular vote by like maybe 6 to 8 million votes. He doesn't really have a chance of winning the popular vote, but he has a chance at winning the electoral college. He has to hold on to Arizona. He has to, and then he has to pick off a Rust Belt state, whether that's Michigan or Pennsylvania. But either way, but this is my final prediction, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Like, subscribe. Let's get to 1,000 likes. We got to 1,000 likes on one of my older presidential predictions. So subscribe if you haven't already. See if I'm right. And thank you. Goodbye.